Hello, it's Ali Wallace here from DNA for the third episode of the DNA Download. I'm very honoured today to have someone I've known for 20 years plus, who is currently based in the wonderful parts of Scotland in Perthshire. So I'd like to introduce my guest, Dominic Robertson. If you'd like to just give us a bit of a background on who you are, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you, Ali. Very kind to invite me. Dom Robertson, Managing Director of RPM. Been at RPM for 20 odd years and been Managing Director for the last 10.
In terms of kicking this off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at your past, delve deep into your past, and just firstly, I'd just like to really understand how you got into the marketing industry.
Good morning, Ali, again. So yeah, I mean, sort of interesting path, one could argue. I didn't look at marketing when I was at university. I studied commercial property. So I was all set. I did a sandwich year, so worked in Glasgow for a year, all set to go into commercial property and all the joys that brought. It became quite apparent that that wasn't for me. So I took some time out, travelled for a couple of years and came back and got offered a job as a brand communicator in the field, giving out 7-Up Light by RPM, which happens to be set up by my brother, which I'll come on to in a second. So I was in the field being a brand communicator, and then I got asked to come into the office to help run campaigns, and the rest is sort of history, I guess. It sort of moved up through the agency from, came in predominantly on, well, very much on client services, but came in from the field and then rose up through over a myriad of years up to managing director, which have been for the last 10 years.
Fantastic. So really, understanding it from the roots, grassroots, understanding what makes the industry you're in. You started at the bottom, which is fantastic. And obviously, being in a family business, I resonate to that, being part of a family business as well. So excellent. So in terms of the setting up of RPM, obviously you're saying that your brother Hugh set it up. Just give us a bit more depth into that, because obviously it's quite fascinating from my perspective, and I think from the industry perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, obviously there's lots of positives and negatives working with family. And I think what was amazing is 28 years ago, 29 years ago, that he set up for a reason, and he had two other partners at the time. And it was really at a time where agencies were very much churn. So there was less emphasis on people, less emphasis on client relationships, and really, agency he was in, which I won't name obviously, but didn't have a massive amount of respect for experience, for live and everything that can come with it. So they split off. They borrowed what was a big amount of money at the time, and they set up RPM, and I think those values that they instilled from the start, which is around looking after people, being very client-centric in what we do, so making sure as we evolve as an agency, it is with our client and our people at the heart of it. And he's still very much part of the business, and the values still come through. And I think, obviously, you say it's a family business. He founded it. I joined 28 years ago, or no, 20 odd years ago, and then grown up through it. But it is broader. There's a great board there, and I think there's an ability with being, I'd say, independent business to deliver those values throughout the whole of our journey. And of course we evolve. But I think being certainly, I felt when I was younger, more pressure to perform, being related to Hugh than maybe I probably should have done. So I think there's sort of a hidden agenda to make sure that I didn't think there's going to be an easy ride, and then he stretched the imagination.
Yeah. Well, that's just a fact of being involved with people who you've grown up with, right? It's part of your DNA. You set the business up in I think southwest London. Is that? I remember your old offices. It was Teddington.
Yes. So right in the day before I was there, that they set up on one of the partners' farms out in Wokingham.
Oh, nice.
And so it was nice, except they didn't want clients to come because it was literally a cow shed. We then moved into Hampton, and we're down in Hampton, which again, which was yeah, at the time it was good. We were obviously concerned. It was good for clients. You leave the world or down that part of the world, but it was always a concern around talent and getting people to come down to Wokingham, to Hampton. And then we found our home in Shepherd's Bush, which has been there for over 12 years now.
Yeah, fantastic offices, amazing spot, really, isn't it? And obviously, white cities and all that sort of area. It's you went there early when it probably wasn't as cool, and now it's very much come up in the marketplace. I would say.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it's cool, but yeah, no, Shebu, it's definitely, it's a lovely space, and it is as you say, the area is getting a lot of investment in.
So, generally, you've talked to us about how you got into marketing. What would be really it'd be great to understand, your journey from joining RPM to obviously becoming managing director, and you've been that for 10 years, and steered the ship through what is some obviously you're a great business and some great times, but also you've steered the ship through arguably probably the toughest times that any of us have seen in business. So give us a bit of a background on your journey and your current position.
Yeah, so I think there's it's hard not to reflect on the last 12 months for sure, and I suppose the first thing I'd say is it's been a phenomenal show of resilience by everyone in the industry, everyone pretty much in the world, to be fair, but specifically in RPM, the teams have been incredible. So we've obviously had to do some furlough, had to do some restructuring, had to do some cost cutting and pay cuts, etc., through to survive. And the attitude and the belief of everyone in the agency has been phenomenal. And I think that is when you realise why we love what we do. And I think and everyone's had their challenges. Ali, you have. Sorry, and I know you're
everybody
as well. But we've had. It's not been our strongest year by any stretch. We've had some of our greatest work, and we've had some great wins. And I think a lot of that has come down to the collective board. We've been very unified. Obviously, crisis management isn't where you want to necessarily excel at, but I think it's really showing the potency of being an independent agency, so making decisions very quickly and putting people at the heart what was really apparent. And our clients have also been outstanding, really, in terms of not necessarily giving work, of course, because it's still a commercial world, and they've had bigger, probably more complex challenges than we have, but they've also been supportive. So they've been checking in, they've been making sure. There's a lovely quote from a client saying, "We want you to be here after this," and they'll do everything like that. So of all the years, we've retracted, we've grown, we've retracted, we've grown. I think lots of agencies do that. This has probably been the toughest year to maintain the culture and the motivation, but our people and the board have been outstanding in it. So I think that's probably the biggest, proudest moment is, and we're not through the woods yet, not out of the woods yet, is recognising, hopefully, that the basis we put into the business of the last 20 years and the culture and what people see and who we are, that's come to the forefront in the last 12 months. And I think we've won work because I think we know each other really well, and I think that we have obviously recruited some new people, and onboarding them is really key. And obviously I think it'll get easier in the next couple of weeks, etc. But I think the fact we knew each other and people understand who we are and what we do allowed us to work in what has been pretty challenging circumstance. Overall, in terms of outside COVID, my job is really around recognising where the agency needs to go. And again, this isn't a solo mission at all. It's very much with the board, and looking at setting the agency visions and the objectives and the goals, and then really making sure we deliver against those. And I think, like I say, a lot of the time, the job is very short term. And I think I'd love to get it to be longer term. I think we're in a short term world right now. And I think, we just need to ensure that we continue to offer really relevant services to our clients while creating a really great environment for people to continue to learn, which again has been quite challenging the last 12 months. But I think before that it was
I'd arguably say that you say it's not been your most successful year, but you actually could look at it, to turn it on its head and actually look at it and go, this has been by far your, forget about the commercials, it's been your most successful year, because you are where you are. You're still an incredibly successful business. You're one of very few independents out there, and I'm not blowing smoke up your backside, but you deliver some of the best work. So in the toughest conditions. So I think that's, well, it's a fact, isn't it? So moving on to sort of, we talked about your role. In terms of the challenges that you face on a daily basis, not so much around COVID, but if you can remember what it's like to be in the normal world, take me through some of that in terms of the challenges that you face on a daily basis. That would be great.
Yeah, they vary from sort of, I guess, some being really big and quite concerning, and some being sort of very, very everyday and potentially mundane. I think the lessons I'm learning over the years, there's some really good agencies out there, and there's some really lovely clients out there. And over the last 4 or 5 years, the myriad of agencies and offerings a client can see is exceptional. From media owners to property owners to Amazon to Google to platforms. So the pressure on the client to understand where they best put their money in investment is really, really apparent these days. And I think it's even the sort of broader challenge for us is, it doesn't matter how good you are, things change. So it could be a restructure, it could be an acquisition on a client's business. And so you've always got this constant worry that even if you're producing your best work, the stars may change, and a company may buy another company. So everything you think is solid isn't solid. And I think as an agency, as a board, I'm certainly spent most of my time paranoid and sort of worried, which sounds a bit negative, but part of my DNA, I'm afraid. And that's because nothing stays forever. And I think we absolutely aspire to do the best possible job we can the whole time, but we don't always get it right, for sure. But a lot of the times we do get it right, but even that isn't often enough. And I think that the shifting sands with control, being an agency in the service sector, makes it very tricky to see. Broader challenges. So coming to a more strategic level, setting out what we believe are going to be the right valuable services for our clients is absolutely a constant view, and we review that at least annually, if not sort of on a quarterly, 6-monthly basis, to make sure what we're offering is valid. And then the other area, and forgetting COVID for a second, is just making sure we've got a lovely internal mantra about why you're at RPM want you to have the best years of your career. And in doing that's going to come through a myriad of things. Some of it is work, some of it is our benefits, some of it is our support. And I think that's often one of the areas that we as a board constantly look at to say, well, are we doing the best? Are we creating the best environment? Are we creating the best career paths? Recognizing that there's only so much we can do and people will move. But while we're at RPM, we want them to have the best years of their career. And again, that's really motivating for us to see how that manifests itself.
Well, as a business that we've worked with for many years, you have a very good retention of people. You can look at that across the business, really. So you're those challenges, you're definitely doing something right with regards to that. So what does success look like in your role, Tom? Because it's quite a tough question, but it's what does it look like from your perspective?
I think from an MD perspective, I think constantly, I'd say growth, but in the right areas. So I think it's too easy to say we just want revenue growth. I think that's very challenging right now. But I think success is really around motivated agency, people knowing what we're aiming for and who we stand for, and I guess how we do that is absolutely key. That does have to be growth, and whether that's new clients coming in or profit growth, and that's absolutely apparent. And we have to grow our profit margins, even on less revenue, and that's a big ambition for the agency. And the other big news for us, I don't know if you saw the last couple of weeks, is we become a B Corp, and again, it was driven by Hugh and others in the agency to really recognise that while we feel very strongly about what we do and how we look after our people and our clients, it's always good to have an external recognition, and B Corp is a fantastic business or community that really does hold up a good external framework that gives us an opportunity to continue to improve on that. So success for us will be to become a better B Corp, because it's a scoring process, to become more ingrained in the B Corp community and understand how we can hopefully influence our clients. Again, it's very apparent that this is making sure that we're a good business, and where possible we can help and influence our clients. But this clients' businesses need to be aligned to B Corp beliefs as well. So we're really excited about that. So delivering against that is going to be key to success. And I suppose coming out of surviving to thriving is going to be success for the next six to 12 months.
Well, I think obviously thriving is going to be key, isn't it? In terms of, it's quite rare actually in your space for a business. I don't see many businesses in our space becoming B Corps. You're sort of trailblazing in a way in terms of the world that we operate in, right? I actually can't name many marketing agencies that are B Corps. So how long ago did you think? How long ago did you come across the idea, and how long did it take for you to become a B Corp?
Yeah, it's been in the back of our minds for about 3 years. It took 18 months. I think there are another couple of agencies who have done it, and all total respect to them as well. I think again for us it was really apparent that we need to be the change we want to see. Our mantra in the agency, our proposition is around say and do. Actions speak loud, and I think we felt that unless we internally really held our feet to the fire around what change we want to see ourselves, recognizing that we still work for some fabulous clients that we may not be able to influence their supply chains, but if we as a business have the right ethics, too strong a word, I suppose the right backbone to deliver against what we believe is the right thing to do as a good business, then it was really important for us. And the internal team, Gemma and Rob and Hugh, and really got under the skin of B Corp and really recognised that this measurement and this framework does really equate back to what we believe as a business is right for our values. And the challenge will be to continue to be a great business while it's very commercially challenging, and making sure we continue to make the right decisions, which is always going to be always was front and center of how we operated. But even right now, obviously the commercial challenge is pretty acute.
Good. Right. So moving on to the future, where do you personally want to be in the next 3 years? Big question, but it's everybody's got their I would say we've all been in the business for quite a long time now, and it's you become more focused on your life and the business and where you're going. 3 years is probably the max you could probably put as a time plan, but it'd be good to know where you are personally.
I think this is obviously a very public forum, but hopefully maybe no one watches this. I haven't known where I've wanted to be since I've grown up. It's one of my challenges in life, to be honest. I am where I am right now without really having too much of a path or a view of where to go next. I think 3 years would really understanding succession planning within RPM, and we've looked at it in a myriad of ways previously. I think it's not for everyone running an agency, so recognizing individuals either in the agency or outside the agency who want to do that and we get motivated around that is going to be key for the next 3 to 5 years, or around 3 years. B Corp is absolutely apparent that we really want to deliver against our ambition for that. And diversity and inclusivity, I know it's very talked about. It's a big passion point of ours and mine personally, recognizing how we can help when currently our industry isn't that appealing and or not that inclusive, or people not understanding how inclusive it could be, or different roles. So that's going to be a key focus for us. And personally, I mean, I love what I do in terms of I love helping clients. I just want to make sure we as an agency are geared up to continue to do that. And it is, you know, the world is evolving pretty darn quick. So making sure that we are ahead of the curve is my constant worry.
Yeah.
Constant focus.
Well, it's being someone at the top of a business. You know, you do end up whether you put it as thinking about the business or worrying about the business, or you know, worrying about what's going to happen. I think it's important to know that you get all of those feelings when you're running a business, don't you? And it's channeling them in the right way. I think trying to understand what you can actually achieve and make and actually do with regards to problems, and then the ones you can't, you probably just got to move on, which I've learned.
It's very true. I mean, I feel very lucky because I've got a great board. You know them anyway, Rob, Rosa, Robin and Hugh, and again, senior management team. And they're fantastic individuals. So one never feels alone, but one ultimately is alone.
Yeah.
There's a
absolutely
great support, but one shouldn't feel alone because it is very much a collective game.
And in terms of you know, the business, you know, where it's going forward, you know, it's obviously you've got an amazing heritage. You know, you're one of the few businesses that pioneered experience and experiential, and you know, you're still independent. That's pretty rare, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's independence again. We view as an absolute strength. I think it is a challenge, obviously, as most things, but it has allowed us to both evolve where appropriate, and also make decisions in a timely manner. So, you know, we are in charge of our own destiny, which sometimes can be very challenging, especially if you don't necessarily think we're the right areas to focus on, but sometimes it can be very rewarding in terms of, you know, B Corp and really evolving our competencies. So yeah, we got 4 competencies in the agency, and I think COVID actually accelerated some of the learnings that we needed to do within those areas. So experiential, you talk about, that's obviously been an area that has very much gone into hybrid and digital or virtual events over
virtual platforms,
but out of necessity. But before that, we were looking at how you get great scale within the brand experience field, and really taking the core experience into the in-home and taking it into the online, geared up for the people at home online, not just reportage or showing them. That was always something we wanted to look into, so that's been accelerated. So I think that's continued to grow. Our retail / shopper offering, again, obviously D&E comms has been a huge growth area for us over the last 18 months, and we need to continue to look at that. We're talking around shoppable experiences, and that's really taking our ethos around experiences matter into the digital space, but also into the retail space. So, you know, excited is probably not the right word. We're really optimistic that the high street and the retail environment will actually become more of an experience, which I think is really exciting. And the role of omni-channel is absolutely apparent, and I think no more so than after the last 12 months of everyone being forced into the online environment, and you know, the barriers between consideration and purchase have almost gone because it's so instantaneous. So we're really making sure that we're keeping a very strong eye and evolving our competencies to, I guess, to make sure our clients see us as a recognizable agency that understands both the latest shopper evolution, the experiential evolution, as well as innovation and branding, which we won't talk about right now.
Yeah, and you know, it's quite a diverse offering. Actually, it's, you know, it's a big offering, and to be able to have all that skill in under one roof is it's testament to what you've built, right? It's because there are far bigger players, networks, etc., that, you know, offer that as well, and you know, to have that and have that skill set is fantastic.
You know, thanks. I mean, I think it comes down to our belief. You know, talk about our belief, which is that in a world where actions speak louder, which is more apparent than ever in terms of all the consumers desperate to understand, you know, the truth behind brands. Advocacy is absolutely massive, and our belief is every experience matters. So wherever there's an ability to have an experience with a brand, we have to have the skill set to understand how best to turn up, and that is obviously online, live, in a shopping environment, and so it's really important that we have the depth of skills to understand both the shopper missions, the shopper barriers, but the consumer insight, and really make the experience valid across all those different channels. So
fantastic. So where it's another question in terms of the future, where do you we've touched on parts of it, but where do you see the experience industry going, longer term, not just in the UK, but obviously globally as well, because it's I think it's a major it's one of the most powerful mediums within the marketing mix. So what's your view on it?
Yeah, no, I think I think absolutely it's not here to stay, it's been here forever. I think how it's going to be done is going to continue to evolve in a really exciting way. So I think the role of the high street will become much more destination and experience, but the actual purchasing will be far more integrated into the digital and e-com side. So I think there's the blend of getting a really good understanding, a really good feel for a brand, but then having the ability to purchase it offline or online will really become apparent. I think the growth experience economy is still going to go. People still thrive or strive for social interactions, and experiences is still probably the most biggest currency rather than owning stuff. So I think the role of experience, certainly in consumer lives, is going to continue to grow. From an agency perspective, there's no doubt about it. The DComs and the omni-channels becoming more and more apparent. So making sure everyone understands each of the most meaningful parts of that journey from an experience perspective will be where we'll be shining our light on next 3 to 5 years. So and again, on a personal thing, I think it'd be interesting to see how the working from home affects retail environments and town centres and commuter spaces, because I think that could be a really exciting area for brands to start to either see what evolution is going to be like and play a role in the consumers' lives, maybe in a more localized way as well. So I think that could be exciting to watch as well.
Well, it's arguably you're looking at it regenerating large parts of cities or towns outside of cities, and arguably experience retail, offices, etc. It's all going to be flipped on its head, isn't it? You look at the number of people who are building offices at home, and the flexible working piece. Obviously, it's quite hard in the creative industry. I don't know how you're going to view it in terms of that working from home. A hybrid model. Is that something to talk about, because it is right? It's very relevant now, isn't it?
It is very relevant. I think that the first thing I'd say is whatever we decide is nothing set in stone. I think we've got to still find a way. I think what we've recognised, and everyone's done it, is A, we can all work from home, which is fantastic. But B, the watch out is everyone's been working from home, so it's been a unique situation. We also really recognise that flexibility is going to be key. And until we really understand how our clients operate and how we best operate in the world of what is going to be like the next 6 months, it's going to be very hard to be to set anything in stone. But like I say, I think there's going to be fewer days. There's going to be fewer days in the office. We're going to identify where we're better together, and there are lots of spaces for that. And there might be some sprints, or there might be periods in the office where everyone needs to be in the office. But right now, we are just trying to make sure people feel comfortable with what the plans are, which, if you're interested, we're looking at 3 days a week in the office of their choosing, but we're just going to have to suck it and see. So we'll just do a review, probably on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, just to understand. And ultimately, we'll probably reflect back to how our clients are operating. We are in a service business. So
excellent. So just to finish up this, it's been very kind of you to spend a good 40 minutes talking to me about your background. But if there was the last question I'd love to get from you is your 3 sort of thoughts on any young person out there at the moment who is looking to arguably whether they're working in the industry or they're looking to step into setting their own business up, what would your key tips be for those individuals? Because I think it's, we very much got to look after the young at the moment. I think it's really important. You guys are, big advocates of bringing in young people into your business, and you always have been. So have you got any, three top thoughts from yourself about people coming into the industry or setting their business up? Sorry.
Gosh, I mean, probably I'd probably be more relevant from coming into the industry, I guess. It might be I think again, this, I think be interested and be interesting.
Yeah.
And for me, what's apparent when I see somebody coming in and ideally you meet them, or as soon as you meet a new recruit in the agency, it's really apparent if they're interested either in your business, as in the business they just joined, or their client's business, and it shines brightly really, really quickly. So if they've researched who their client is, if they've researched the industry, it's really apparent. So if you don't have the hunger to be interested, then you're probably not in the right industry. And being interesting sounds a bit twatty, actually. Maybe you shouldn't be that. I think just be interested. Being interested means yours going to be slightly different. So don't be shy of having different interests, because that makes the agency really is. It'd be great if you like knitting, or it'd be great if you like windsurfing. It doesn't matter. Just be interesting in different areas. The other one, I'm going to sound like a right old fart, is be patient, but don't stand still. So I think there's still, and right now it's been nigh on impossible. There's still so much learning to do, and I learn every day pretty much from people way more inexperienced or junior than me. And I think recognizing when in your career to just get good at what you're doing rather than constantly look at the next step. And I think that's key. I think don't
chase your career too quickly.
I don't think so. I think we're all impatient. Everyone wants to be Instagram millionaire, and I think that I get that. But I think actually, unless you go through the pain of doing the basics, I suppose never. Again, I'm sounding like an old fart, Ali. But the basics never let you down. But to learn the basics, you have to put time in, and I think that's apparent. And we see that in our homegrown talent. They fly because they had 2 or 3 years of putting the time in, still getting recognised, still having the best years of their career, but they weren't chasing the next promotion. They weren't chasing the next promotion. So I think that'd be key. And then probably the last one is just do what you say. As born and bred out of RPM. It's shorthand or longhand for integrity. So if you're going to help a colleague, help them, and if you're not, then don't say you will. So
be honest.
Probably should we start far more strategic and creative. Sorry, Ali.
No, it's not. It's. I think it's important that that's that's coming from the heart, right? So that's what I really wanted. So, well, look, thank you very much for spending time with me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honoured.
Yeah.